Hello there everyone, my name is Brother Birch. In this video I'm going to walk through the Lesson 1 class activity solution. So in here we have a couple of different things set up. Notice what my project architecture kind of looks like. So I have this server.js file, which is really quite lean. There's hardly anything in here, just enough to import Express, start up an app, and listen on a port, right? And then we have this guy in here, which will use some routes, okay? This is really good. We want to keep our server file nice and lean. If you're more into traditional programming, you can think of it like a main function, where main itself doesn't necessarily have a lot of logic in it, but it kind of acts as a driver to a program to call other functions. Okay, and that's kind of what this server.js file is here for. It's here to kind of connect everything together and delegate a lot. So really, we just listen on a port, have this all set up, and then we'll have a few statements here in the middle as our app grows for different things that we're going to use in our application. Right here, all we're using is our routes, and so this right here will wait for this just base URL route. And so if I'm listening on port 3000, it'll look like this. We have HTTP localhost 3000 slash, right? That is what that URL is going to look like. So everything inside of this routes folder will be accessible here, okay? If I go into routes and look at index.js, again, I have that same thing. So that is going to represent this exact same route, okay? Now, if I had put something in here like jokes, then I would only be able to access whatever this function's returning if I went to this URL, right? But I'm just going to leave it the way it is for now. And to see what's actually going to happen, this right here, I could put in just an anonymous function right here. And I could say, oh yeah, let's go ahead and say res dot whatever we wanted to do to like return JSON. But it's nice, again, to delegate further. And so I have my route set up, which will just have a collection of routes. Eventually, it'll look more like this, where I have different routes set up. But each one will just reference a function inside of a controller. Right here where we call jokes, or we just call this jokes, whatever is being imported from controllers. Inside of controllers, again, we just have this index.js file, but I could use that same, use and calling other and importing other controller files as well. Right here, we just have that display joke function, and we just have a hard-coded joke in here. How did the telephone propose to his girlfriend? He gave her a ring. Nice. Okay, and we say res.status is 200, successful, and we'll go ahead and send our data. Okay, we have to export this display joke so that it's available when we import jokes here, and then we can just say just jokes.displayJoke. Okay, and that is it for this class activity. I hope this was helpful in seeing how this is all set up. This proc file is important. Okay, since we don't have our package JSON, our start script is using NodeMon. And so our NodeMon isn't going to work on Heroku. And so when we try to deploy this to Heroku, it's not going to work because NodeMon can't work. It can't work on Heroku. Okay, and so because of that, we have this proc file set up that's just like, hey, what command do you want to be issued when you deploy on Heroku? And all I want to have run is just node server.js. And so it'll just run the server.js file, which will connect everything else in my application. That's what this proc file does. Outside of that, we'll be just fine to deploy to Heroku. It'll work out great. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thanks.